young turfgrass scientists. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad you could join us today. It's Wednesday, April 15th. Today, Miss Rachel and we have Miss Essa joining us, and they have put some video here on our presentation. So hopefully you all can see me. I'm waving at you all there. And I know sometimes we have to use our imagination, and I would like everybody who's on the webinar now or who's listening to this on podcast to wave back. So it's good to see everybody. I'm Mr. Bruce, and we're going to be continuing our journey to talk about turfgrass for kids and young scientists. And we do this every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. So I am very glad you're joining us today. My understanding is, listening to the news, that a lot of the schools are closed and a lot of you are staying home. So we talked about social distancing last week. And while you're doing social distancing, there's a lot of fun things you can do on your lawn. Did anybody have fun last week on your lawn? Did you have a cookout? Did you play soccer, pitch and catch with your mom or dad, play the grand prize game? I hope you did, because playing on your lawn and being outside on your lawn can be a lot of fun. This is a picture. I went out yesterday with my daughter Betsy, and we took a picture of my grass. This is my front lawn. Doesn't my grass look long? It is. It's getting to be about 3 to 4 inches long, and the weather's starting to warm up in Northeast Indiana, and my grass is almost ready to be mowed. So right now I have my mower down at my mowing dealer, just about a mile from my house, and he is sharpening my mower blade. He is changing the oil, putting a new spark plug on my mower. So my mower is ready to go, and that should be back here in just a few days, and I can't wait to mow the grass for the first time. Have you all mowed your grass yet? If you have, or your mom and dad have mowed your grass, we'll be talking about mowing in an episode coming up here in a few weeks. And there's some tips on how to mow your grass, and we'll be talking about those. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that's very important, and that is soil. What do lawns like to grow in? Does lawn grass like to grow in water? Does lawn grass like to grow in the air? No, lawns and a lot of your plants around the house, shrubs and trees and flowers and garden plants, they like to grow in soil. So today's lesson is all about soil. We're going to talk about soil science. So the first thing we need to understand is soil is not dirt. I know a lot of moms and dads and a lot of young kids and young scientists sometimes talk about dirt. Hey, let's get some dirt so we can grow some plants in. But actually, dirt is not the same thing as soil. Dirt, the easiest way to understand this is dirt is what we sweep off the floor. That's dirty stuff that we like to sweep up. Maybe your mom and dad will sweep some dirt or stuff off the floor in the kitchen or the family room. But dirt is not soil. Soil is a very interesting thing. It is made from weathered small little rock particles. And that's the basis of what soil is. It takes a long, long time for these rocks to weather down. It's part of the erosion process. And it takes hundreds and thousands of years to make soil particles that are small enough to grow plants in. So soil's made up of rock particles that are real small and weathered. It's also made up of water. So soil holds water. We have to have water for our turf grass to grow. One thing very, very important that we don't think about a lot is soil contains air or oxygen. Plants do need oxygen to grow. So soil has little air spaces. We call those pores, soil pores, that are filling our soil, and that's where the roots grow. That's where air is, where oxygen is. So we need good airspace. And finally, soil's made up of leaves or organic matter. Some people call that humus. It adds a lot of organic matter to our soil, and organic matter is filled with microbes, and it's filled with all kinds of good things that we can will help plants grow. So that's what soil is. Soil is not dirt. It has living organisms in it, and I'll show you a few in just a minute. So soil is a very wonderful thing. It's more than just dirt, and it's made up of rock particles, water, airspace, and leaves or organic matter. Now, there's different types of particles that make up soil. Did you know that? There's three basic particles that soil scientists like to know and understand because it tells us about our soil. The first particle, there's three of them. The first particle is called sand. It's the largest soil particle. When you rub it, it feels kind of rough. It feels gritty in your fingers. Sand, in a good illustration, a picture would be about the size of a basketball. The next particle is called silt. Silt is a particle and the size is between sand and clay. And silt would be about the size of a baseball, relative size of a baseball. Silt feels smooth and powdery between your fingers. The final particle, the smallest one, is called clay. And it's the smallest of the particles. When you put it between your fingers, it feels sticky when it's wet. So sand is the biggest particle. It feels gritty. Silt is the medium-sized particle, and it feels smooth and powdery. And clay is the smallest particle, and it feels sticky. And just to think about those, the relative size between each of those three particles, sand's the biggest, like a basketball. Silt would be the medium size, like a baseball. And clay would be the smallest one, like a golf ball. So there's different particle sizes that make up soil texture, and that's all called soil texture. And that's important because the texture of your soil and the particle sizes determine how well your soil drains water and how well it holds nutrients. So if you live in Florida, you may be growing a lawn on more sandy soils. They may need a little more water, and they may need some more nutrients to help your grass grow. If you're living in an area where you have more clay soils, you may have a lawn that holds more water and holds more nutrients. So that's something we need to know as young scientists. I went and took, with my daughter Betsy, some photos yesterday out in my lawn. And these are some of the tools that soil scientists use to understand their soil, understand their particle sizes called texture, and I even brought out some of my soil testing kits. And we'll be talking about some of these a little bit later in the year when we talk about soil testing. And yes, I brought my thermometer out and taken my soil temperature. And by the way, for all of you who have been sending Miss Rachel and I some photos of what you're doing, that is so good to hear from all of you. Keep sending your photos in. We would love to hear from you. And by the way, today Miss Essa told me that we do have a chat room available on this webinar. If you want to hop on the chat room, and you could send Miss Essa a chat, a question, or a comment. All of us would love to hear from you. So these are just some of the tools that soil scientists use or turfgrass scientists use to understand their soil and their lawn. Here are two that I'm going to demonstrate here in a video just shortly. They're called a soil probe. It's just a little metal tube with a handle on top, and it's got half of the tube cut away. So if I push this in the ground, I can actually take a look at my soil. They're called soil probes. I brought two sizes. One is a larger one used for lawns, and the smaller one is a more specialized one used for golf golf greens so we don't take too big of a soil core out so the golfers don't get mad at us when they try to putt their golf ball across the golf green. So there's two sizes that I have. We're going to use the bigger one for the one for lawns, and I'll show you how this works because I want to go look at the soil. So here I am. I'm taking my soil probe and pushing it into the soil. I'm pulling it out and you can see there is a core of soil, and I can take a look at the soil particles. And I'm looking at about the top, 5 to 6 inches of soil. You can see some little pieces of grass. There's a little bit of different colors. Sometimes you'll see different layers in the soils, and that's important to know. But this is called a soil core. And I got the soil core by using a soil probe. So I'm going to look at the soil and try to determine the soil texture and the size of the particles. If you can see the red arrow there, when I put my soil probe into the ground and pulled up the soil, I found an earthworm in the soil core. Isn't that interesting? Earthworms are really good for the soil. Earthworms provide organic matter to the soil. They add airspace in the soil. A lot of earthworms is a sign of a very healthy soil. That's really good. So I wanted you to see that I found an earthworm in my soil core. The picture on the right with the little red arrow is a picture of a root, a grass root. See the little white grass roots? One of the things you can do by using a soil probe is to see how deep your roots are in your lawn of your lawn grasses. Mine were about 5 to 6 inches deep, and they're nice and white, and those roots are taking up water and taking up nutrients for the plants, and I have some really good healthy roots. So worms and roots are good, and that's how you can tell with a soil probe. So I have a video here of me, and I want to play the video for you. This is me, and I'm going to describe what I'm doing here. So let me get my video going. So this is me. I'm putting the soil probe in the ground. I'm looking at my soil, the core of soil I just pulled up. Now I'm gathering it in my hands. I'm making a little ball of the soil. And I'm going to squeeze it between my thumb and my index finger. You see me doing that? That's called a soil ribbon. And you see how short that soil ribbon is? It's about a ½ inch to an inch. The soil felt a little bit gritty, a little smooth and a little gritty. And the ribbon I was making between my thumb and my forefinger was about a ½ inch to an inch long. That would tell me I've got silt in my soil, I've got a little bit of sand in my soil, and not a large amount of clay. I found another photo right below that colored triangle of a soil with a lot of heavy clay content, and that ribbon I'm making with the soil is about 4, or that they're making is 4, 5, sometimes 6 inches long. That means you have a lot of clay in your soil. If your soil feels very gritty and very coarse textured and you can't make a ribbon, that means you have a lot of sand in your soil. So the 3 particles are sand, silt, and clay. And knowing the soil texture will help you manage your lawn, help you, your mom, and your dad manage your lawn and what to do with your lawn. This triangle, this is advanced for some of you that want to look it up. It's called a soil triangle. And there's different proportions of the 3 types of soil types: sand, silt, and clay. And if you know the 3 types, you can find what type of soil you have. Mine had a fair amount of sand and silt, but not much clay. So I'm going to say mine's down in the lower left-hand side, like a sandy loam or like a loamy soil. And that's good. You want to be someplace in the middle of that triangle. You don't want to be at the extreme ends of it. So knowing your soil texture will help us manage our lawns. So if you don't have a soil probe, and not everyone's going to have one, you can use a trowel. So I got one of my trowels. A trowel is a small shovel. And you can use a trowel or a small shovel. A spade, a garden spade works really good. And you can push that in your soil. You can check your soil texture just like I did. You put a little bit of, make a ball out of your soil, put it between your thumb and your forefinger or your index finger, and you squeeze it and you feel for stickiness, that's clay, smoothness, that's silt, and grittiness, that'll be sand. So a spade or a garden trowel works just as good. One thing you can do, and I was doing this, you can take soil cores from around your lawn. I went and walked around my lawn and I took about 10 to 12 soil cores. I put them in a bag. I labeled the bag, what part of the yard I got my soil sample from. This is called a soil sample. Mr. Grass Guy is saying test, don't guess. So what you can do is take an actual sample. Once you determine your soil texture, you can put them in a bag and you can take those to a soil lab. Some of the universities have soil labs. We have a soil laboratory that tests soil right here in my hometown in Northeast Indiana. And then we can find out things like what the nutrients are, what the pH is of the soil, how much organic matter is in the soil. And that's important. And we'll talk about more soil testing in an upcoming episode. So the lesson here is to think like a turfgrass scientist. Have you ever wondered about your soil? That's what Mr. Grass Guy does. He wonders about his soil because we've got to have good soil to grow good, healthy turfgrass. And the way to know what your soil is like is to examine it with a soil probe, a spade, or a trowel. Determine what your texture is, and then you might want to do a soil test at a further time. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Miss Rachel. And if you have any questions about your soil, how to determine your soil texture, or something about soil testing, Mr. Bruce, myself, and Mr. Grass Guy would be glad to help you and answer any questions you may have. So Miss Rachel, I will turn it back to you.
Thanks everybody for joining. We'll have this episode uploaded and on our website on Friday. And if you have any questions or concerns or would like to reach out to Mr. Bruce, please email us at winfieldpro@landolakes.com. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon.